haven't broke that intro out in like 2 or 3 years. Seemed like appropriate day to do so. It's rainy, it's floody outside. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to It's in the Blood. And today we're going to have a little bit of a chit chat about some of my favorite subjects. Audience participation is requested as usual, and we will get into it here shortly. Where is she? Where is Rachel? Well, I'm going to tell you guys, just so everybody's aware, Alex is still at work. There is a thing that she's doing right after work. She should be home around 8. After that, we're going to set up and do a Q&A as soon as I close this down. So, Puppet, to answer your question, she's coming today. I forced it upon her. There's lots of stuff. She would have been here earlier, but there's something that she had to take care of. Real life stuff is important as well. What is up, Miss Lindsay? How are you doing today? The first thing I want to talk about today is that I sit up this morning and I started listening around and flipping through the early morning podcasts. And, I see one this morning that talks about Josh Dix. And, he was very much a top target for this Indiana basketball team this year. And there were several schools in the running. Creighton, Illinois, Indiana were the three main ones, I believe, that really were looking for his services. And, and it was really pledged that he was a top recruit for this basketball team this year. And so in my brain, if there's somebody in the early part of the transfer portal that you consider a top recruit, a 3-year guy, over 40% career three-point shooter, got better every single year. He knows where you come from. He's familiar with Coach DeVries. I thought this one was going to be a slam dunk. This is the one I thought that they were going to put the money into, and I thought they were going to go out here and corral this kid and bring him in. But lo and behold, Greg McDermott at Creighton pulls this kid over, which is really going from the Big Ten to the Big East is kind of a lateral move. And it's not necessarily I don't think Creighton is an NIL landing spot. So that brings into question the first thing I heard after the announcement was made that he was going to Creighton was, hey, what's going on? What's going on with Coach DeVries and his recruiting? There's a ton of money there to bring players in. Why wasn't the pitch good enough to get a guy like Josh Dix out of the portal? I love Connor Enright. He's coming. I'm sure Lindsay's familiar with him. He was a get. The other guy that they had talked to ended up committing at Louisville from Xavier. It's one of those things. Now, everybody's wondering where's the recruiting at and why didn't this one particular guy work out? We may never know, but now it's going to bring into question. Everybody's going to start by just watching this process and seeing how DeVries does in recruiting. And that is going to be a big thing right now. Let's go, fast forward here. We're in the dead period right now. You can still make contact, but there's no movement going on right now. The two names that anybody's interested in right now from Indiana, actually, we'll go down to maybe 3 names that people are interested in. Flory Badunga is out of Kansas, and he's rumored to be headed towards Auburn. Kokomo, Indiana kid, somebody that should be high on your radar that you should be making a swing at least in my opinion, you should. But it looks like he's going to be either an Auburn kid, which Bruce Pearl, national champions, Johnny Broom's going to the NBA. That's the spot he'd kind of be filling. Looks really solid. Go back from there or going back to Kansas with Bill Self and that team that is going to have a pretty heavy roster. Hunter Dickinson goes to the NBA this year or leaves, whatever he should do, just to get him out of college basketball. So, but there's not a lot of talk about Indiana. And that was one of the guys, that everybody mentioned that should be high on the radar. They should draft Michael Jordan. And I will get names out as I come across them. Ringo, Lindsay, thank you. I'll get names out as they come across my brain again. Next name on that list is Pharrell Payne. Played backup at Texas A&M this year for Buzz Williams. Buzz Williams goes to Maryland. Pharrell Payne was high on the list for Indiana last year, made a visit, I think about the same day, like a year ago today. And I really wonder, if he's going to be somebody that's going to be considered, because he's another guy that is a high energy guy. He's a Minnesota guy, but there was a lot of interest in the program last year. He ended up going with Buzz Williams down there to Texas A&M. Not sure if he's going to be a huge fit, but he's another guy that has entered the portal that should be talked about. The other guy that I wanted to mention today, just right off the get-go before we go any further, is the Division II kid, Elijah Freeman. Sources say that he's already been on campus. I think he's like one of these guys that looks like he's looking at Tennessee, Kentucky, Michigan, and Indiana. I don't know if it's going to be a bidding war. This one might be. I don't know what this one really entails. I haven't got a chance to see the kid play yet. But the point was getting is that, either coach has got a plan for his recruiting and really none of it's come to fruition yet, and we don't have any idea, which I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt and say that that's probably true. But everybody's talked about Josh Dix. Everybody's talked about Josh Dix not coming here and going to Creighton. And the question was in that instance, what went wrong with the recruiting? Was there not a big enough NIL offer on the table? Was there some maybe, why did Creighton outweigh IU when it comes to a kid like that should be a high priority? Creek says Reed Bailey, Fly Badunga, Elijah Freeman, Rodney Rice, and Tyrone Riley. I'll get into the rest of those when I sit down and do my research tonight for next week. But Creek, thanks to see you. Oh, that's a good one. So that was another part of my problem. The other thing I had an issue with, and the reason why when I created in my head why Josh Dix wasn't going to be here is it because it's another Big Ten school, right? Leaving Iowa, did he really want to go to Illinois or Indiana, or did he want to stay close to home? So that makes me feel a little bit better. I'm sure. Listen, there you go. See, there's reasons why we have folks in the chat, because they are actually on top of some of this stuff a little bit better than I can be. That's a good reason. I would have thought that they would have took a big swing at a kid like that. That was my perception. So going forward, a couple of the names that I did mention, Badunga and Freeman are on that list. I'm going to go into the others on my own. That's really awesome. I really like Pharrell Payne as an opportunity to come back. He didn't really get much opportunity in Texas A&M, and the opportunity he got, he made the most of, especially that game against Michigan, who is a Big Ten opponent. He pretty much dominated in the tournament. I wanted to roll on. Also, any of you that are in here today looking for Alex, she will be on tonight, as we will be sitting down for a Q&A at roughly 8:15, somewhere in that ballpark area. Those of you that are in here that are NFL fans as well, I wanted to touch on a little bit of the deal that was Cincinnati today. Is I think Trey Hendrickson. So I really think that everybody's in between the rock and the hard place about the guy. Nobody wants to give up draft capital. Nobody wants to pay a 31-year-old top-tier money. I think at the end of the day, we're going to see a 2-year extension. The extension money will be worth about $52 million for those 2 years. I think he'll get about $30 guaranteed, plus they'll fully guarantee his full contract this year. and then that will be done. If not, he'll get a pay raise this year, and they'll let him go. Al Golden, the new defensive coordinator coming in from Notre Dame. I look for him to sneak up and grab maybe one or two of his guys in the second, third round of the draft. Honestly, I really think Howard Cross the third fits our D-line a little bit. I think he's one of those guys that's not the biggest defensive tackle, but I think he's good enough to create a little bit of pass rush from that spot on third down. I think he might be a rotational player. I didn't really take a lot of look into some of the other guys, but Morrison and Watts are the two in the back, the defensive backfield that I thought would be really good. And and maybe Mills, he was a pretty high up there as well. Those are the four off that defense that they may look at sneaking in at a later round. With the loss on the offensive line, it looks like Cody Ford's going to move into that guard spot. I think that will be okay for the time being. And that tells me that Cincinnati should be drafting best player available when they get to their spot, unless they have a glaring need. Opposing defensive end, maybe. I think they should just go best player available. They always tank when they stop winning. Let's see. Do you think teams will tank for Archie Manning? No, because that's a great question. I mean, honestly, do you think teams will tank for Archie Manning? And the absolute answer to that is no. We've seen in the past when somebody wants a quarterback in the draft, they will trade the house to get it. We don't even know that he's going to be ready for the NFL when he hasn't had enough, time playing on the college field. Quinn Ewers is probably a third-round pick right now, and that's who he sat behind. But I like the whole story of another Manning is really cool. But nobody's tanking for anybody. I think the quarterback class this year coming is probably not going to be all that. So hopefully we don't have this bunch at the top. You wait, the quarterback this year coming out of the draft, it's probably going to be a late first rounder or a second or a third rounder that ends up surprising people. It's probably not going to be the two at the top. I just can't get behind it. I love Cam Ward, and I love his story. I love his grit, and I really hope he's the guy. But there's something that just tells me that it's going to be somebody later in the draft. Bro, you can talk about Fernando Mendoza. Heck yeah. This will be a great year coming up. This will be a very important year for Indiana's football program. As a lot of the guys, there's a little bit more hype. Recruiting went a lot better this year, but everybody's going to be kind of gearing up for this team. They're not going to catch anybody off guard. I'm really curious to see what we're going to see out of this program this year. Football is going to be high on my list in the fall. The summertime, I'm going to coast through here with some baseball, Friday night sports talk, just to kind of get it out there. But I'm really curious to what Signetti's got. I didn't have much from them this week. It wasn't really a big time thought process this week as the college basketball. I really hope that the plan that the coaching staff has at IU in recruiting for basketball is just kind of taking their time and working through who they want on this roster. I was a little upset about Josh Dix, but Creek has calmed that nerve. Mother has cancer. Staying close to home seems like a very more important than NIL money and situation. Got the Final Four coming up tomorrow. Minus catastrophes at work. We'll be in here for at least one of the games. Not sure which. I have a very long work schedule this weekend. $2.3 million was offered to Dix. That's more than what I thought. I was shooting around the 700 Okay. I was shooting around the 700K mark. Ballo was like 1.3. Oh, is that what he got? He got like the 1.2, 1.3 that Ballo got. Hey, that's impressive. I gotta say, for that, I mean, Creighton coming in at a little over 1 million, be a feature player there for Greg McDermott, who's a very established coach in college basketball that probably has had offers to go elsewhere. You Bengals, Reds, NFL, MLB, sports. Yeah, what's going on, Jake? Good to see you, my friend. You might have to go back to the beginning. Not going to go through everything again, but talked about the wins and losses on the recruiting trail thus far. I can't wait to see Enright, honestly, in a Hoosiers uniform. He really exemplifies what I think the team needs to be about. Just a little disappointed in something. There wasn't another early signee, and I haven't even yet looked at the West Virginia roster to see who might follow them footsteps over. That's going to be next on my list too. Enright's going to fit that mold really well. I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty glad. And like I said, if you were in here with me last week, before it was even close, I told you that Renew was going to end up a hurricane. They have put together a pretty nice little early roster down there, and it's going to be excited to see how they do. But, like I said, go to Miami, get out of the Big Ten, sir. But the Miami roster looks really nice for the early going so far. They've had very nice recruiting. Good luck, Malik. I felt like if he could have got over his whininess so much, he could have been a really good. He could have been a really his athleticism, but he was just way too pouty and handsy. We have 4 shooters who all shoot over 40% from 3, all who love IU and bust their ass. I was trying to count who is the 4. Oh, is Sicily a 40% 3-point shooter as well, coming out of high school? Is that your 4th guy? I love Enright, and then Goody. Did Goody get his medical granted for his 5th year, I assume? Awesome. Luke Goody, when the gloves got put off on this team at the end of the year, when everything was going wrong, Goody, Anthony Leal, and Trey Galloway really played a huge part in what that was about. I think all Indiana fans saw at that point in time how important it is to play with kids that love the university. There's a little bit more effort involved there and a lot more heart. And I think that's hopefully what we'll come across with the next set of players that come to Indiana. What is that, Miss Georgianne? Welcome. Yeah, Ringo is in the house. But I did say that Miami team is going to be pretty solid. Anybody got anything else about the Final Four today, or anything else that they have seen in today as far as Q&A time? Alex will be here at 8 o'clock tonight, and her and I will sit down and do a Q&A for everybody. You guys haven't seen her in a hot minute. Our boy who guaranteed the arrival was in here waiting earlier, and he is ready. He's ready for some Alex time. She'll be in tonight. We'll sit in here for a Q&A and have a good evening. Cooper's dropping 50 tonight. Listen, I kind of doubt that. I think today is going to be the game that is going to be the challenge for Duke. I think they've got the team to win it, but I think Houston defensively, I think it's going to keep that scoring down a little bit. Today's the challenge. I feel like today's the challenge. Monday night's the win. I still think they're going to win the national title tomorrow. I'm sorry, you're right. Tomorrow. I wish it was today, because then if it was today, I'd be able to do that. He will be an NBA player soon, so all world. it's not very often that you have a guy that comes out of high school that's that ready to go at the next level. He could have skipped college and been fine. Cooper Flagg is definitely bred differently. You don't want to wait until tomorrow night. I'm excited. I think the Duke Houston game is going to be fairly good. The Duke Arizona game, if Arizona could have played some defense, could have been a little more competitive. I felt like that one was tight, was going to be tight. Getting that thing ready to rock. Next week in here on Friday, if not Friday, I'm out of town over the weekend, so it's gonna be at a different time. Just whenever it is, it's gonna be at a different time. But I will get the flyer put out early for the topics. So if anybody wants to get in here for that and ask some questions and get some stuff teed up, hopefully we'll have some news. We shouldn't have much news about college basketball since it's in the dead period. The national championship will be over. We will discuss that a little bit because if Adam's around, I'm sure we're going to talk about it one way or the other. We'll continue to look and monitor the Bengals and their contract progression with Trey Hendrickson. But like I said, he's going to get about $26 million a season on the extension years. He will get a 2-year extension to his current contract, which will hold him under contract for the next 3. And I think it'll be 3 years total. What did I say? 56 and 16. That is 72. 3 years, 72 million extension with about 35 guaranteed. That's my call right there. That this year and next year will be fully guaranteed or mostly guaranteed, and then the third season, if the team decides to X that out, they can. They'll load up these next 2 years on guarantee money. Besides that, draft is going to be coming up really soon. I don't really like doing a lot of these mock drafts. It seems like it's a waste of time getting them forward. I am going to put out there a couple of needs for the top 4 or 5 picks, and then we'll do a little bit about what everybody's team needs. I'll make a quick list so that if anybody asks about a particular team, I'll have it listed as 1, 2, and 3 going forward. I did not intend for this to be a super long one today. We have got Duke playing in the Final Four tomorrow. I agree with that. As much as I would love to say that I think that Auburn-Florida game is going to be a bloody fist fight. It's going to be very much. I think it's going to take a lot out of each, and I think this game here is going to be it's a little bit slower pace game. It's going to be grinded out. If Duke gets over 72 points in this game, it's a guaranteed win. I don't think Houston's going to be able to play with them in the high 70s. I just don't see that happening. If Houston can keep them under 70, that's the only chance that they really have. And in my opinion, going forward, the Auburn-Florida game, who knows how that thing's going to turn out. Both teams have shown signs of inconsistency throughout the games. They've given up leads. They've been very far behind and had to fight their way back. I don't see the level in them that I see in these two teams here. Let's see. Anybody? There has been a lot of movement in the transfer portal thus far. I was getting ready I was going to see if I had my list ready to go. Where did it go? I had a list. Where did it go? I disappeared. 3, 2, 1. Just for a quick minute, the women's Final Four, I think that UConn-UCLA game, I have a feeling that might decide the national championship. Maybe. I think that's really strange that the number 1 overall seed is not favored against UConn. Beckers is make sure of that. I think that ought to be interesting, an interesting watch. The other two teams I haven't really got to see much of this year, Texas and South Carolina. Tonight at 8:10 Eastern time, the Reds play at Milwaukee, which is a horrible place for them to play. They've already slipped to 2-5, and they've only played one road game. The games to Texas, they didn't look very good. They looked okay against San Fran. I really feel like that there's going to be some changes come in this lineup. I have a feeling that they're going to have to mix it up right now. I really don't see, the hitting matching what it should, especially on a homestand now on the road. It's really been kind of mediocre minus De La Cruz and Matt McClain. And Matt McClain's only hitting 222. Pitching has been okay. As far as everything else goes, tonight was the game that I had intended on doing. It looks like it's not going to happen because Alex wants to be in here on the stream tonight at 8. So once she gets in here, we'll be in here for that. By the way, this San Fran team is playing outstanding. I haven't paid much attention to the Texas team that they lost the series to. After the one game, they won 14-3. But they've lost 3 games in a row at 1-0. So obviously hitting is an issue. First time since 1960 that the Reds have lost 3 straight games 1-0. And that says a lot. Also, hopefully Jonathan India, after taking the 99-mile-an-hour fastball to the face, I really wish he was still here and Gavin Lux was not. I would rather have him back any day of the week as we go forward. Today, so far out there, Yankees are dominating the Pirates. Go figure. Boston put up 13 on St. Louis. Amazing. Chicago got a nice win against San Diego today. Baseball is going to come in a little bit more, probably more during the week, as I kind of messed up my schedule this week from being in here for a baseball game. Tired of the Brew Crew. Creek says Duke will blow out Houston tomorrow. I would like to think that too, honestly, but I would. I feel like it's going to be the only. I think it's going to be the only competitive game of the for Duke going forward. Yeah, you know what? I am tired of the Brew Crew. Honestly, it's this Reds team. Francona is going to need some time to get it rolling in. I will give him the benefit of the doubt. I think it'll be a little sooner rather than later. But I have a feeling the first month or two of this season is not going to be happy. Pitching looks really good. That's the kicker. Like I said, they've gave up 3 runs in 3 days. Really, beyond that, they haven't had any really bad outings except for Janal, or the guy that was started in the first that tried to close out the first game of the season. Gary, welcome. Reds start off the season good, then they fall off. I think it's going to be a little backwards this year. I think the starting slow this year has more to do with changing culture. Terry Francona is a proven winner. I think it's just going to take him a little bit of time. Hopefully they don't get too far below 500, and hopefully that they end up having a competitive season this year. I had them pegged at 82 to 85 wins. It's going to take some hitting, though. That's what's got to happen. I think when Stevenson comes back, I think that'll be big. Having your best catcher and also one of your best bats on the field will be important. I haven't even looked at his statistics on when he's due back. Are the Dodgers going to lose a game? Who knows? When you pay that much money, you shouldn't lose games, right? They should win 120 games this season. But I don't, there's a lot of talented players in Major League Baseball, and that you can't win them all, right? But I wish spending was equal at the top. I wish teams were only allowed a certain amount. This luxury tax cap blows me away. Don't like it. So, but it is what it is. Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, they're going to always spend the money. Cubs are always going to spend the money. Cincinnati will not. Oh, one other thing I wanted to touch on before we get out of here is that I did notice that there's been a lot of talk about the lack of talks and Cincinnati's extending to stay in Paycor Stadium. They had a proposed $1.2 billion renovation for the stadium to try to keep them there and up their deal. But the talks have kind of went away, and it looks like they may be up for kind of sale. How big of a piece would that be if you were talking about the end of the 26th season, being able to move that team? Hey, you get to move Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins into a new and what should be a playoff team. What kind of bids are going to come in, to build them a stadium? I'm a Cincinnati sports fan. I really don't want them outside of Cincinnati, but I don't think the Browns and Miss Katie up there, I don't think they're working really hard to do the right things by the team always. I'm sorry. I just don't feel that way. Since Paul died, I have a feeling that everything's been just about the almighty dollar. It's what it looks like. Appearances are usually pretty right. But I did read a nice article today that basically said that if they don't come up with something soon, that they could be on the move in 26. I would hate to see them go, but wouldn't that be an interesting development if they just took the money? Hey, I just wanted to say thank you guys for hanging out again. We're going to go shut her down here just for a second, but I will be back next week, hopefully at another time. If you did not catch it live, please watch the replay, smash the like. See you guys later. Much love, and see you next time.